Hi people. So in this week's episode, it's a little bit different. We normally have it in-house in studio. With me and AJ have tried to get it in studio 2 or 3 times now, and for whatever reason on my end or his end, it just hasn't been able to work. So this one's just over a Zoom call, but put together nicely. So you may be able to take bits of this information that might help you in your own world to give some reflections back to what chimes and what can be worked on, really. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy this episode with me and AJ Roberts. What do you think the biggest, like my awakening as well now, has been the hardest process, realizing all the parts of my shadow
Yeah,
and coming apart with them, because I realized how much all your life and interactions with people has been entangled with this false self, and that's
yeah,
been an hard one. Because thinking that
yeah,
you're a kind-hearted person, and you are, but you've run programs that aren't aligned
mm,
with that.
yeah, yeah. I totally get you. I think that obviously I was previously married and I got 2 children with my previous wife, and she's done nothing wrong. Obviously we actually got married when I was first in the army, so she's been through that whole process together. We got beautiful children. We lived in Australia, had a really nice life. But as soon as COVID started, and then I knew it was all BS, and I just come back from Sierra Leone where I was doing some like missionary work there. So I was seeing loads of false flags that were happening in an African country before COVID even started. And then I started seeing videos on the TV of people body popping on the floor in China. And I was like, that's bullshit straight away. Um, it's all theatre, and obviously the time of the shots came out, and then my ex-wife actually went and had one, and that was a game changer for me. I don't blame her. Like that was because of her it didn't work out and because of that incident. But
Yeah.
again, just in my heart, mate, I just knew. So I think it was like a universal catalyst to start things breaking down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was out there constantly doing podcasts. I was out there constantly serving schools. I went and served Virgin Care. They were literally a mile from my house, and because there was kids like dropping in classrooms and stuff from these shots and stuff like that, mate. And I literally almost like booted the door in to all these like massive, unhealthy, overweight people behind desks wearing masks and that, trying to tell me that these inoculations are amazing for kids. Like I was doing all that stuff at the same time, but as well as my own spiritual involvement. And so I guess like as that spiritual involvement, I really increased. I was, practicing what I preach, like meditation, breath work. That side of stuff was I was adding to my game instead of just being a face behind the podcast.
Yeah.
The podcast was again another part of my arsenal, really, for mass pop awakening, because it's reaching people around the world.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about getting them to flick a switch and start going on a spiritual journey. It was about that information, being able to decode it themselves, like all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
But I found once I met Corin, my partner who I'm with now, we run our business with and do all our events, stuff like that. She was going through an awakening phase and a marriage breakdown herself, but she knew that she didn't want to be with him like before we even like realized that we were supposed to be together.
Yeah.
She just knew. Whereas like me, it kind of slowly broke down over time to the point we were doing events together, and I was just like, oh my god, she's like absolutely my twin flame, my goddess, whatever you want to call them. There's
Yeah. Yeah.
multiple names to them, my divine union. And then trying to deal with that knowing, and it was like a beating drum in my chest, mate. Like, and it was just like fucking hell. And I was like, it then became basically a mission to uh, get confirmation at every level that like if I'm gonna be with Cole the rest of my life and 3 younger children, I need to break my kid's heart, my ex-wife's heart, like that. It needs to be 100% bang on. I need to have that conviction in my heart that this is the right way forward. And it was, hearts were broken, and still need mending.
Yeah.
That is an ever evolving process. But all started at a certain point, and I openly say to like my ex-wife, like probably living with me for those last 6 months was probably awful because I was going for an absolute head fuckery of like my whole marriage, my kids' existence, like everything, like that whole life, and leaving it to like day by day, like getting closer and closer, and everything's kind of slowly breaking down, whilst you're breaking down stuff in the mind and the heart and the body, to and then being activated with loads of other stuff at the same time, not quite knowing what it all means.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like a crazy time, mate. So the last year has been a bit of a whirlwind, to get us into a solid place where we are now in this beautiful home, where we help so many people. And people come to us from all over the country. People drive from Scotland, from down south to here in Lincoln to come and sit with, with different medicines with us, and just open up those aspects themselves. But it was always going to be this way because the work we do together, is magical.
Yeah.
Like the activations people have are just next level. We hold space beautifully well. We've created an amazing community out of it all that are just going from strength to strength. Like their gifts are coming online, and yeah. So as we're all evolving.
Yeah.
Me and Corin aren't like shamanic masters. We're constantly mastering our own evolvement all the time, and that's kind of like our message at the minute is like just be the master. And most of us all played with He-Man figures when we were kids and that, and or watched the cartoons and stuff, and they gave us the codes all the time, like you are the master of your universe. And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to do, in this kind of fashion, the way we do things. But things like this, how everything has a price, right? Everything always comes at a cost. Nothing's easy. So to be in this situation now, I had to break down my marriage of 20 years, and leave my children, which was, despite all the military stuff, chaos, COVID, like all of it put together, still doesn't even add up to anything to being the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
At what moment did you know that it wasn't coherent, coherent anymore, and that's where you knew you needed to be?
I don't know if it was like a defining moment. It was just because there's so many variables involved. You know what I mean? You've got
Yeah.
children involved. You've got like two other ends of the country. Uh, none of my family were up where she lives. Like any of this stuff. Um, so I guess it was like it was building, and then there was just a point where I kind of had I guess the courage came to actually just say, I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm leaving. Do you know what I mean? And like that's massive because not only is it you literally breaking someone's heart, destroying their life, everything they thought they might have had, you're then suddenly taken away in the flick of a switch.
Yeah.
That was, will always be like the most difficult thing to somebody who's not done anything wrong as well. But at such a deep soul level, I knew that being with Corin was a big part of my future. Um, and I realized that because every time I was around her when I was coming up north to do events and she would come and join me, I was like the energy between us while running events was like next level. Like people were constantly coming up to me saying like, "Oh, your missus is lovely and blah blah blah. She helped me with this," and I'm like, "That's not my missus." But like, people just assumed because of the energy between us. So all these things were like ticking boxes for me, I guess.
Yeah.
And just the energy between us is different to what I'd ever actually experienced. And I guess deep down, I'd done what most blokes don't do, and like I went to those extremes to make myself happy because at that time I wasn't happy, and
Yeah.
wasn't because I wasn't happy with my ex-wife and my kids. I just wasn't happy like living where I was living. I was in a new build. I just knew I wasn't content just doing a podcast and hustling every month to pay a mortgage. Do you know what I mean? And just
Yeah.
like all that stuff, I just knew wasn't real and it wasn't my life. Um,
Yeah.
and again, it takes down a lot. It takes a lot of stripping down of the ego and that shadow work, or being in the shadow work, like whilst it's all happening. Um, so many mixed emotions and frequencies, and like you can never imagine in it all. Um, and then, but then within like 2 months of leaving, my mum passed away. You know what I mean? So it was just like, um, but it was kind of premeditated because she wasn't very well. Like she wasn't a healthy person.
Yeah.
Um, she was an angry pub landlady that was in a lot of victim mode. You know, she got a lot of not quite nasty side effects from the COVID shots, um, like bad psoriasis, COPD, which inevitably put her on more antibiotics and put her on more pharmaceuticals, which led to her decline. Um, and then she ended up like dying in hospital on statins and all the rest of it, like with my brothers stood around them. So it's like, but at the same time, that experience I think was needed for my brothers to actually, and my stepdad, to see what big pharma was really about, what these hospitals are really about, you
Yeah.
know. So again, all of these crazy experiences were for them. And it kind of like, we touched on what we were saying before, yeah, about like not shaking people, not going, look, can you not see what the fucking docs are doing? Can you not do your research and see that statins are bad and blah blah blah? I literally had to know. It was a knowing that my mum was going to pass away. Um, just being able to step back and allow my brothers to witness that with their own eyes, like
Yeah.
was quite a big deal.
Well,
But needed.
it's everyone's got to come to that self-realization, haven't they?
Yeah,
It's an hard one, and sometimes it takes really hard knocks. Well, most of the time it does take the pain to move, doesn't it?
yeah,
It's
yeah. But you've got to witness it themselves, and I think that was a big trigger for my other members of my family. Like I wasn't actually there when she passed away.
yeah,
Um, I was actually in Portugal running a retreat. Um, so again, that whole trying to do that and carry that on, and watch your heads all over the place. Uh, Running a retreat as well, is a bit of a mission, but it's all part of our journey. It's what makes it's what makes a shamanic practitioner a great shamanic practitioner, because of the
yeah,
experiences they've had themselves.
yeah. It's being able to carry it through calmness as well, in it, even through all that adversity that comes on. It's like through me, like we went onto a vision quest the other month, where you went out, you did like a load of sweat lodges, and then
Oh,
you went
cool.
out into the forest and you did 4 days, no food, no water.
Wow.
But um, it really it broke the illusion of myself, and like I had a lot of anger going into that, so I was trying to keep my family safe from certain dilemmas that were going on. And I realized it was me that were causing most of the shit. There were things going on, but it were how I reacted to them that were
Mm,
bringing the discomfort within the household.
mm,
Um, and that were difficult. And it's even like unfolding now. Like I know, like there's things that there's things that I've wanted to create. I've got all these ideas, and like yourself, I wanting to tie and be a mediator for people to tie exercise and what I'm about, being a family man, trying to bring them aspects of myself
yeah.
and tie it to the other parts of me that I know that other people can benefit from.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're all trying to do at the moment. It's just
Well, we're naturally people of service, aren't we? So I think just like all those different areas that makes a person of service are just leveling up as well.
yeah,
Um, and then so the right people will naturally gravitate towards you. You'll bring, as you evolve, and you go through these activations, you remove these veils of illusion, you see past everything. You're then fully just knowing you're creating your own reality, and everything you're doing, you're bringing it to you all the time, like
yeah,
without reservation, without judgment. You just know, Bosh, like I'm just creating this all because I am the creator of my reality. You know, like you create your reality. You created this podcast. You created me coming on your podcast to talk about some of this stuff because it's gonna not necessarily awaken more people, but it's going to get the right message to the right people, and the
yeah,
right people will like click on this and they'll comment and they'll go blah blah blah, and then they'll send you a DM, and then a couple of people will message me off of it because that's what happens after every podcast, and then
yeah,
lo and behold, one of those people was around my house this morning.
yeah.
You see what I
Well,
mean? It's just this is
I
how it
heard
all
you
works.
the other day when you were speaking about when the like when it was going a bit wrong for you, and then you went back to army because there were no other work, were
Yeah,
there?
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
How was it happening when you started going full time into this? Was your world like crumbling as well in certain
No,
aspects?
I was in quite I guess it was naturally crumbling, like I had to.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so like I get asked the question quite a lot, like, oh, when did you wake up, like and stuff. But like for me, it's been quite a long, ongoing process where I've always been intuitive. I've always been like a black sheep. I've always been asking questions and curious and all that kind of stuff since I was a little kid. Like that's
yeah,
not changed. I've been, want for a better word, quite hard to program, if that makes sense.
yeah,
I've never conformed, all that kind of stuff. So I had all those traits anyway. Um, you know, probably quite complex ADHD as well, like but without ever being labeled or diagnosed.
yeah,
Um, so I've always had that kind of like remit about myself, and so I always get asked that question a lot. But the reality is I've had to experience extensive time in the military, seeing multiple false flags in my own eyes, and to be able to work it all out, everything from 9/11, and the explosives used and all that kind of stuff. Because obviously I joined the engineers, and you get taught all this stuff like steel cutting charges and stuff like that, right? And actually doing it in practice and for real. Um, so you got all those elements of it. Then leaving the military and then working at Port and Down, and then seeing that like they make Novichok there, that they actually, which obviously was happened in Salisbury, which is where Port and Down is.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I was like seeing all this with my own eyes, seeing that they do psychological testing there, they do testing with lasers and direct energy weapons, amongst all the other things they do, seeing it with my own eyes and then go joining the dots that way. So then when
yeah,
the time came to COVID, and I started the podcast, I left that job and I went into full time like my own coaching business. So again, I needed to be away from these corporations and outside of it, despite being lockdowns and everything else like that, to then go hard on the podcast.
yeah,
Um, and obviously, I was getting censored left, right, and center. And funny enough, speaking of censorship, I literally thought I'd try and ask for a review on my original YouTube channel, which built up quite a following until they censored me and deleted me because of my podcast. And literally 20 minutes later, I got an email saying that they've reinstated my whole YouTube channel. So we know there's that just proves that there's some good elements in control here.
yeah,
Um, and I've seen quite a few people have got their original accounts back as well. So that's quite good. But yeah, obviously, despite all the censorship, it was then just constantly going hard on it. And then the right people were coming into my field, as in to work with, to go on,
mm,
to the vaccine centers, to learn from each other, to really connect veterans, ex-police, you know what I mean? So like and everyone was going on a spiritual journey at the same time. So you're seeing those aspects within people as well. So I guess 2020 was really kind of prophesized, wasn't it? It's like, I guess the start of people, like start of humanity's like major spiritual awakening.
yeah,
Um, so, funny enough, the irony is in 2020, like, and it's to really open everyone's eyes. So you get that 2020 vision of,
yeah, yeah. That's what I was just about to say. Yeah,
of the,
2020
of the,
vision.
yeah, of the truth. But your truth. And you really only find that when you do that inner work, because if the truth's still hurting you around certain things, you've got work to do around it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like if you're holding a lot of guilt and a lot of shame and all this kind of stuff, you've got a lot of work to do around it, because you can forgive yourself, like as hard as it was, I forgave myself for leaving my wife and kids.
yeah,
Um, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to have that self-love for myself. Because if you don't have that self-love, you're not performing, you're always pouring from an empty cup.
yeah, yeah. No,
You know what
I,
I mean?
I, I totally hear that.
You
Like,
can't live you
from
can't live your role if you're pouring from an empty cup.
no, no, you can't. And my main one was I've always been too analytical of myself or putting myself down. I was getting caught in that trap of like trying to be perfection, like trying to live the same day all the time, or
Yeah.
when you like favorite pair of boxers, but trying to do that with all aspects of life and trying to create this perfect day, and it like don't work. Even when changing at seasons, I've thought about it recently. Is like I were always trying to get up at like 4 o'clock and start my day with meditation and all this. And I'm like, no, you've got to change as the seasons change. You've got and then like give yourself that grace as well.
Yeah. but just be kind to yourself, mate, and like just be in a flow state. If you can just try and be in a flow state, and like nothing can really wind you up, right? Really doesn't antagonize you, so you don't put like angry energy towards it. You know, so it's you match every frequency with like how you want it to end. Do you know what I mean? Whatever the outcome is, you just match that frequency with it, and you'll see it happen for you. But again, we've got to go through these dark nights of the soul. We've got to go through this shedding of old emotions and old stories, old relationships, old karmic contracts, like that we all hold in the body. You know, and that's why so many people come to us to sit with like kambo, or come to our retreats in Portugal, or come to our live events and stuff like that, because they always receive what they need, and it's like they're cool to it, you know. And that's why we love what we do in that aspect, because every single person we see go through a transformation, because it's all divinely connected. Like that person was supposed to be at this event. You know, we don't get people turning up and just acting like complete dickheads. You know, people are there to
I
do the
think they're
work.
beautiful, the retreats, aren't they? Well, just you always come away meeting some beautiful people, and
Yeah.
like I'm doing some cut. One of the guys, they were an American guy who did the one down at Glastonbury. He, I'm doing a coaching course with him next week. Just something that's come up, and you like the
Brilliant.
signs have all come up. You know the signs when you see them, pointing you into that right direction. It's like surrender to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I'm intrigued to see where it'll go, really. Um, what's the hardest truth then that you've had to swallow?
What, as if like receiving a truth, like
Just
that I've
whether it's a inner realization or if it's something outside of yourself that you that maybe was an illusion as well. It can be either eye.
I'd probably go back to like just the knowing, like the beating drum in my chest, and knowing I need to leave my children is the hardest like truth to accept, for me personally. But I
Yeah,
guess I it's quite a strange question for me personally, because like when you're in the army and that, and you're surrounded by egos, you're surrounded by like the darkest humor you can imagine. Like
yeah,
you tend to not really like have a filter, so it's almost like trained you for like later on in life.
yeah,
And I guess if you've seen the best and worst in humanity, and you know conflict areas as well, there's nothing that really kind of, not much that phases you. So I guess in terms of like I guess harsh truths in that is having grown up and like living and breathing football the way I have, like knowing that there's dodgy people within the game that like, you know, have been either infiltrated or manipulated or are just outright fucking nonsense. You know, like messing around with children and stuff like that. Like I guess because for me everything's about the kids, always has been. And I say it all the time, you know, crimes against children will be what unites humanity.
yeah,
And that's why like a lot of the big truths around certain people around the world, like the Clintons and Obamas and all this kind of stuff, right? Like coming out needs to,
yeah,
but you know, will be a big pill to swallow. But so I guess the harshest truths, what's to really say is all is anything around the kids, mate.
yeah. And a lot of people when I went in to watch the Cabal, the Fall of the Cabal, and it was
Yeah,
the stuff with children. And a lot of people just didn't want to know, like they didn't want to think it were true. I'm like, but it dates back with Catholic Church and all that. And I went,
yeah,
and I think of one of the videos that I sent you that St. Julian, he was saying why they go, why that energy goes for the children is because they are the closest thing to God or source
yeah.
energy, whatever you want to call it. And if you can poison the minds of them, they'll then become the perpetrators because they hold that in.
Mm.
And it's like a poison that keeps on getting passed down, and the more that you infect it with, the worse it'll get.
Hundred
Um,
percent, 100%. They are the number one currency. Children in the world, like they are the number one commodity. But they're not. They're God's children. But you know that's what like 3 years ago I was showing people about the immigrants going to certain hotels in the northwest, and also off the back of lots of meetings that I was invited to. Like seeing where the roots are, where kids get brought in, and like all this kind of stuff, and I was talking about it 3 years ago, but no one wants to know. But like now people have that much heightened awareness. They're actually, they can stomach the information a lot better. Obviously, it's still surface level. The level of like brutality and stuff like that that's involved with some of these lizards. Um, but at the end of the day, the truth hurts. So
Yeah.
it's how you then deal with is one of the main things. It's how you then like let it integrate into your body and into your mind.
Yeah.
Um, that's the key thing. Like what you actually do with the information.
Yeah. Is there any your things that you're trying to build, maybe centered around children as well?
Yeah, we're talking about it a lot now. So there's so many gifted children out there. Like I was literally speaking to my 4-year-old niece on the video chat the other day, and she wouldn't shut up. And I was like, I could literally talk to you all day, sweetheart, because it's like your mind's not been corrupted. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're just this beautiful, beautiful little soul, just bundle of joy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I live with a 12-year-old lad who literally just wants to talk about the universe, quantum physics, superpowers, dream state, meditation. He's 12. So,
That's amazing.
and
But that's what I think is coming through now, isn't it? It's
yeah,
like when I
massive, mate,
tried showing my
massive.
wife, I showed my wife like the telekinesis videos, and she's like,
Mm.
I says, "What do you think's that?" It's not true, and I'm like, "It is though." I says, "Have you seen the gate? Not the what is it now? The what is it? Telepathy tapes where they're showing them
Oh
children
yeah,
where they've got
yeah,
blindfolds on." I went, "That's just at a low
yeah,
level." I says, "Wednesday,"
yeah,
and I says, "This is what like whether you look at movies and say X-Men." It's same thing. It's like everyone's got their individual powers, and the more that humans see other humans doing it, it'll rise it all up. It's what
yeah.
I've
It's the same for all of us. Like, so if you work on you, your inner work, like your other half will rise. That's how like
yeah.
these unions work. Like if I,
It does
uh,
that all falls away, doesn't it? This is what
yeah,
I've got a lot of compassion you saying that, and a lot of people when I were in the Vision Quest, that's what they've gone through, and
mm,
it's very difficult. I know. Well, it must be very difficult because that's why I've got the compassion with Zoe. Is when I went through all this, I went. It was sort of. It could have been on a knife edge. You either grow together or you grow apart. That's one.
mm,
It's and it is. It's an hard. Like when you said that beating of the drum, I had the same. I had the conspiracy stuff first, and then a couple of years later, once we got in the house, I realised this depression came in that I've never had before, and
mm,
it was the same pulling sensation to go and see what were going to happen. And we had to have a
yeah,
sit down and we had to have a talk. And I says, I don't know what this is, but I've got to pursue it.
mm,
And it were then all the synchronicities and everything else
yeah,
just started happening too much to even ignore. It would just,
yeah.
yeah,
Because you made that universal change. That was what is a huge monumental universal change. So, um, like I told my ex-wife on the 7th of the 7th last year that I didn't want to be with her, right? And it was like the world shifted, like huge, like the ground moved because it was like a massive catalyst in my future, my involvement, and my role here, and all this kind of stuff that I'd cut the contract with. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And but then as soon as I did that, fucking hell, mate, I was just like, I spent half the time on the floor crying, like I was just
yeah,
purging like crazy, and it was like, I'd have a massive cry, like all the stuff would come out of me into the ground, and then I'd go for a walk, and my ears would just be like, "Wah!" like I was getting like I was replacing what I'd released with like new information, new data,
yeah,
like literally for a week, like until I proper like I literally said my goodbyes, so no doubt a lot of that would have been information, inner strength, like codes, all this kind of stuff that
yeah,
we get in a beautiful way. Um, so yeah, we all go through these hard times. But again, like we got to remember we put ourselves through these tests.
yeah.
Like my mum didn't decide these tests for me, like we
No,
did. Like, and if you can really hold that and embody that, you can also say, well, I must have put all the good stuff in as well then, and you create the good stuff. And we don't have to be on this like healing journey all the time. It's another misconception in like the spiritual sort of
yeah.
communities is that you've got to constantly be healing. Why? None of us come here just to heal, like coming to experience, right? It's
Yeah,
so yeah, but like heal in terms of the wounded parts of your heart, you know, which you often feel in the physical body, the shoulders and stuff like that, and um, heal parts of your sacral and like all these kind of things. Remove the veil of illusions from your third eye, and like that's fine because you need to bring in the good stuff, the high frequencies, the higher aspects of you, the deep lineages within you. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
all these people on the East Coast that I talk about all the time, I've got massive Viking lineage. People on the West Coast have got massive Celtic and other lineages, the Druids, like all this kind of stuff. You know, we've got on this land, and reconnecting with the land is out there in abundance, right? For you spiritually, emotionally, and physically
yeah.
to go and dive into. Um,
It's
so yeah, that's what I kind of focus my attention on now. That I try. I'm like, you know, some days I don't know about you, I can just go, right, I'm fucking sick of healing now. Just give me a day off. Like, and I'm
yes.
sure there's loads of people watching and listening that would feel the same. But like, you just literally say like, I don't want to keep healing all these different aspects of myself. I want to feel it in the body, but also want to experience at the same time the joy, the bliss, the love states, like all the good stuff, because it's all there to be had.
Yeah, for me, it's like been slowing down is the number one thing that I've had to do when I come back. It's just
Mm,
slow, even though everything's not answered and things are crumbling left, right, and center. It's knowing that we're magnets, so whatever how we are on the inside, if we're all scatty and chaotic and trying to grab at life, it's gonna like trying to grab the sand. It's just gonna pour out, or we're gonna
mm,
send ourselves into a mental state of yeah, too being too chaotic. And if you're peaceful and know that it's like trusting in the plan that's all going to unfold, it's gonna it's gonna unfold in a nice way for you.
yeah.
Um,
That's why I say trust the plan all the time. You know, it's not just about because Q says it. Trust the plan is you need to trust the plan because you made the plan. So why
yeah,
wouldn't you trust the plan?
yeah,
Everything's that simple. You know,
yeah. It's
just simplify everything to a choice like yes or no, and then move on.
yeah. No, I totally get that. I totally get it. What events then have you got coming up that you're excited about?
Well, as I was kind of showing people on my social medias, like our live events that we run around the country are actually systematically thought about and planned based on the location and the energy lines that they're on. Because we
Yeah,
found like over the last few years, you know what I mean, it's actually the locations having a massive impact on the individuals there, but also what the collective bring to that node point. So there's, you know, I'm big into like my ley lines and energy lines and cathedrals and working around
I'm
all that kind of stuff.
fascinated by it.
I kind of live and breathe it really. And I have to say, being in Lincoln is like the perfect place because the cathedral and the castle have massive significance to like the whole country. Um, but I've got an event this Saturday in Barnard Castle, which is bang on the 33rd degree line. It's called. So it basically runs from Christchurch. Funny enough, in then that's obviously where the 33 comes from, the Christ consciousness. So
Yeah.
the line goes all the way up through Stonehenge, all the way up through England, through Barnard Castle, and goes up through Scotland, goes into a body of water, and then back into the mainland Scotland, but through past Aberdeen, and actually through Donald Trump's golf course, and into the North Sea. But like I know the energy work we've got to do around it all, like with is part of our events. It really powerfully activates like key ley lines in the country. So anyone who attends is pretty much part of an awesome team, getting what
Yeah,
they
yeah.
need, but also doing it collectively for the land as well. So we've got that one on Saturday, and then on Remembrance Weekend, 9th of November. So 9/11 inverted. We're doing another event in Christchurch in Dorset, right by from where I was born.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so yeah, and there's loads of amazing people coming to this. That have like had some huge activations in the last few weeks and months.
Yeah.
They're just really stepping into their missions now, and they're all going to be in one place at the same time. So if anyone's around those necks of the woods and wants to experience some magic, obviously get
Yeah.
your get your scrawny little meat suit ass to the event.
Was I had a question then. You know it. 2 seconds. It just went out of my head. I had it already, and then it went. Uh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah. That's what we're going to touch on. I know you don't want to go too deep into it, but just because I know a lot of people are concerned with it, with the digital ID.
Mhm.
Um, is your stance on it just act as just don't participate in it?
Yeah, so if it's the same as anything we've experienced, right? It's just
Yeah,
another agenda to be thrown in there. Again, it's this polarity that we've got to think about. Like that's why it's being presented to us. It's actually making us awaken further.
yeah,
Um, just like the Vax passports, just like 15-minute cities, just like everyone waking up to like chemtrails and all that kind of stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? There's this. It's just another thing that they're trying
yeah,
to show you the dystopia of everything.
yeah.
Um, I watched the movie the other night with my mate. He stayed over the weekend and called Mickey 17,
All
and
right.
it's like it's a bit of a weird film. The guy who or woman or whoever wrote it has clearly got fucking turbo ADHD. Um, but they show you a proper dystopian future, like on ships and stuff like that, run by a politician who says who just decides, yeah, you've not done a good enough job this week. You're only getting half your weekly ration allowances and all this kind of stuff, right? It's just so it's showing you the dystopia. And again, so that's why I think that's what a digital ID would get to. Do you see what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's kind of like humanity is constantly being shown what we can get to if we don't stand in our power. So all it is, it's just making you, forcing you to stand in your power. Could be for
in
the
your
first time,
sovereignty. Yeah,
stand in your sovereignty, because as soon as you do that individually and collectively, your reality collapses that timeline. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, and we're being shown timelines being collapsed because all these wars being collapsed everywhere by Trump and like the Middle East and all this kind of stuff. That's all being collapsed because as soon as you collapse war timelines, all the other stuff goes away. So you literally massively reduce all the trafficking, you reduce all the chaos, you reduce the fucking media lies, you reduce multi-millionaire oligarchs getting rich off of like defense and weapons. Do you know what I mean? You literally take away all of these little programs
yeah.
by collapsing war timelines, and it's the same thing for this. So it's it's actually beautiful to watch. People shouldn't have any fear over it because we're just being presented with something for you to experience duality and remove it and stand in your power. So it's actually like a tool for us.
Yeah.
And that's how I see it because again, being the observer, I've watched it for the last however many years happen time and time again.
Yeah. Because we were like down at a sharing circle, and when news got that the digital IDs are going to be going down south and they're going to be in the Morrisons and stuff, me and Sam were like laughing, and they're like, "What are you laughing at?" And I went, "It's good." And they went, "Why is it good?" And I went, "Because people stop going to supermarkets and start going to farmers markets."
Yeah, of course.
I went, and I says that some people will go that way and some people go that way. It's like wanting when we're on about trying to get these centres up and running. I was worried at first. I'm like, oh, you'd have to be with digital ID. It's like, no, you do your business as not digital ID, and the people would then come to yours over the other ones.
Yeah, of course.
It'd naturally fall away. There's
Yeah,
going to be a
but
split in society.
But think about it, right? If you are of the belief that probably about 80% of our population are what we call background characters, right? They're like soulless NPC beings that are there to prop up all the systems, right? They wouldn't exist without these beings being in them.
Yeah,
Um, that they're the ones that will buy into the digital ID. They're the ones that are still queuing for COVID shots, right? That they're like, so just let them do it. Like they're just bots on a program. So if they buy into the digital ID and like everyone else doesn't, that's the split of two worlds that we actually want. That's actually
yeah,
happening. Like, so we actually want this. Um, I've seen videos recently of people going to doctor surgeries after phoning, trying to get an appointment, being chinned off and saying, oh, there's no appointments for the next 3 days or something.
Here at Disciples of Truth, we're proud to partner up with Charlie's Apothecary. Charlie's got some cracking products. I mean, cracking. And to start off with, it'd be cordyceps, and it's the first product I actually tried at Charlie's. And it's a dual extraction, and cordyceps is renowned for natural energy booster, helps fight diseases, and it's great for sex drive for those that care to wish. And And you can wish. But no, on a serious note, I don't like going to gym. If you've got low energy, I don't like the pre-workouts. This is great with a few drops of water. Swig it down, swirl it around your mouth, and off you go. And it can be aided throughout the day. And then the next product we've got is my personal favourite, is the fall blended salts. Salts gets a really bad rap through propaganda and doctors saying that we overuse it, when it's not true at all. To get the best salts in is one of the most natural ways of getting all the essential minerals into your body flow. So I'd give it a go. And it has Salinas del Carmen salt that originates from the Canary Islands, Fuerteventura, if you really want to know. It's one of the highest grades that you can have, and then it's got another three blends to go with. And the next product we've got, it really don't need an introduction. It's Shilajit. You must see it everywhere. It's got 85 trace minerals. And it's good for energy, mental health, and clarity. And this is sourced from the Himalayan mountains. And I've tried many different brands of Shilajit, and I'd put this at the top of the ladder. And it's really nice packaging as well. And then last but not least is the oregano. It's the triple extraction. This is good for boost immunity, gut health, lowers cholesterol, fights inflammation, it aids weight loss. And I've just personally used this. The house got some of his family members got sick, and it kept it off, and I haven't managed to get sick through it. Same again. Put in water, swirl around the mouth. Brilliant products. What you also get from these products is it's handcrafted. He puts a lot of time and effort in and his team. It's UK only at the moment until it expands more. So it's only UK only, postage and packaging. What Charlie also does is he grows his own mushrooms. So we know that they're tried, tested, and they're also for freshness. So hit the link in the bio and go check out Charlie's new website. So all his range of products is on there, and there's something for everyone. So yeah, go check it out, guys.
Yeah, so the movie, show again, like many movies do, they show you this like a bit of a dystopian nightmare. They show you, what they want you to see and consent to and stuff like that, and just go, oh, okay. So like the conditioned people just don't pay attention to the actual words. Ask any person who's going through an awakening process, like to go and watch The Matrix and actually listen to the words or put the subtitles on, and they'll be like, oh my God, they'll pick up a million new things because before they weren't in that awareness. So I mean, they didn't have that ability to take in that data. Whereas like now, most people, and this is why we're seeing the split of two worlds, because and why people really should stop getting angry. Like if you're seeing people queuing up for shots, if they, you don't know any of them. Yes, you got your heart is like, I love all humanity, but then like don't focus all your attention on this kind of stuff. They're just there propping up the systems. It's a military grade operation. You know what I mean? That we're all part of, good and bad. The psychological operations that are used on the masses to keep people programmed and on the hamster wheel is huge. The technology that's in our devices to keep you programmed, to keep you locked on, is like massively advanced. And then they all work hand in hand. But if you look at digital ideas as a way to awaken the masses, just like other things have been, you'll see the beauty in it. Like videos of guys. I was just saying before, a video guy going into a doctor's surgery, or told not you can get an appointment, but it walks in, it's completely empty, and he's just like, "What the fuck?" Blah, blah. But I said, "What's it doing for humanity? If they're telling you there's no doctor's appointments, what's it forcing everyone to do? Take control of their own health. Like, take your power back. It's giving you an opportunity to do it.
Yeah, well,
to learn.
That's what I see. Like, you can see NHS is going to sink next, and I like it's not a bad thing. And they went, why? And I went, because you'll become your own doctor. Like, you'll start to then once all this information now, you see like the American food coming over and all that. I went, you'll start to see what food you should be putting in your body, and you'll start to take care of yourself because or you won't, and that's divine, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You just continue to give your power away, but then you can see the people that still do that. You can see the programming in people. And you can see that we're just fucking avatars with modems in our head that receive and like emit data. You know what I mean? It's all about creating an uninhabitable environment for the vessel. That's how they slow everyone down. You know what I mean? So all the seed oils, all the chemicals, all the vapes, all the energy drinks. Going back to what we said about kids, like the kids are targeted so heavily with all this stuff on purpose to try and shut off their pineal gland in their head, so they don't connect to their spiritual gifts, because the kids are the future of this new earth. So again, this is what this spiritual war is all about.
I find it really encouraging though, with all the means that they try to dumb us down, and we're still overcoming it.
Yeah.
So like chemtrails,
We're
food,
still here.
water, all the rest of it, still here, and still the ones now who are drawing back from all that are thriving even more. I think we're just going through that untangling of
But we're
ourselves
being
first.
rewarded. Yeah, we're untangling ourselves, the deconstruction of like old timeline stories, relationship, karmic contracts. But what people need to remember is as well, all those people that class themselves as black sheep or the chosen one in the family or whatever you want to call it, like part of your role in this is actually to break old lineage lines and old ancestral lines and things like that within the family. That's why you were the black sheep. Like it's a way to break those old generational lines that have been just awful programs that have been on a loop. So a lot of our grandparents are the ones with the wisdom, right? But like a lot of our parents in that generation's age, like I've got nothing to share because they've just worked all their life, and that's or went to uni, all that kind of stuff, right? There's a large portion of that generation who are heavily programmed for a reason. And so they haven't passed the wisdom to us. A lot of us get our wisdom from our grandparents, and then you've got the next generation down from us, which are the ones that have brought their kids up on iPads and everything. Do you know what I mean? And heavily programmed. But then their kids are the ones that are awakening.
The beauty of that as well that I've seen is like even with my kids, they are awakening parts of my parents that couldn't be awakened because it's that child. They've got a special bond, aren't there, between grandchild and you probably did with your grandparents as well. Like they were just you were learning from each other, different bits.
Well, my grandfather, I talk about him a lot. He was my greatest mentor ever. And he died at 97 in 2020. World War II era, all that kind of stuff. But constantly passing down wisdom, like there wasn't really any nothing chats between us. We didn't sit there. He didn't sit there and go, "How's the kids? What school are they in? How's work?" Like there was never those conversations. You know what I mean? So he was always teaching me like things until the day he died. So and that's the same for a lot of people. And I know there's a lot of people watching and listening that I resonate with. So it's our job really as these way showers, like these ones, these breakers of chains, to teach these youngsters that are coming through. And I know it's working because I've got a lot more teenagers and people touching on their early 20s that are following me now than I've ever had. Because the content's resonating, because they've gone through an awakening process themselves. And I think that's why people are finding it so hard in schools and stuff like that, because the schools can't stop it. Like it's the teachers, a lot of teachers being egotistical dickheads and robots, what for a better word. We've experienced it with our own because they don't know how to handle this shift. Like I really feel that, you know what I mean? It's like it's like such a high frequency. These kids are emitting such light. It's imperative for them people to chip away at it, slow them down.
Yeah, I heard that one where you said your daughter asked them about how did the measure from the moon for it to the. Like, that's brilliant. But I say
she got thrown out of class for that.
Yeah, I shot saying with Archie though, on about the moon landing or whatever, and I just says, Archie, he's only 6, and I says, I went, I'll show you some off YouTube, and I showed him this thing, and it were all the reasons why they don't think they've gone. I went, does that look real to you? And he's like, no, it don't look real. Oh no, I'm not saying it is real or not. I says, but I want you to be able to make your own mind up in life.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant, mate. You're not dictating his mind,
Yeah. And give him the choice to see what he believes, not me.
Yeah, that's really good.
On one but I said, if there's something being shown to you and they're saying that's the honest truth, I says you've got to try and make your own mind up. That's the whole part of it.
Yeah, 100%. Again, it's him finding his truth and being allowed to do that at such a young age, and that's why that's a perfect, brilliant example to share with people, because we can all get better at it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but that's what I keep coming back to. Like, we can't deny people's experiences, and we can't deny their feelings, right? So then you can't deny their truth. So if you're telling people like, no, this is the truth, you're wrong. Like, if that person is 100% convinced that they are right about that particular thing, they are right. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. And that, yeah, because they're also making their own reality out of that. And
Yeah,
I
of course.
think, and the more that you fight it, the more that it's going to wear you down. It's just like,
Yeah,
I'm open-minded to hear of other people's perspectives, and I can take some of them on as well. Or sometimes, like you say, you might just go, "Nah, it's not for me." That, but you don't have to
mm,
engage in a war of words.
nah.
And I think
Again,
that's where everyone's at. Is that everyone wants to be
yeah,
right to a certain extent.
and
I've
need
been
validation.
on that path, so I kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
know it.
We all
Um,
have, mate. We all have, like, it's because we get angry, don't we? And like, I actually like these people. Like, we're all just mirrors for each other, holding up mirrors for each other.
yeah, yeah,
I'm going to do a proper video on it, like this week. How we're all just mirrors for each other, like showing us our triggers that we need to sort out in ourselves. Um, like that's literally it. Like, if people don't sit there and go, "Why am I being triggered by this person saying this, and this?" It doesn't resonate. Or somebody, maybe they follow for ages, suddenly comes out of like all this crazy information that doesn't resonate with them, and it's like it's just triggering them. It's like, what's actually true, but I won't put information out and then tell people they're wrong.
no, no,
Do you know what I mean? And or call them anything and call them, say they're wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's not my role. My role is to just present the information, and if it resonates with you, amazing. You've got more jigsaw pieces to your puzzle. It's helped you on your awakening.
yeah,
It like, I very rarely put anything out that should give anybody cause to feel offended. The only thing that the backlash I do have is if they don't agree with the information I put out. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you got people that are very much Trump's a Zionist, he's an Israeli shill, he's this, right? But like, that, you're always going to get that because you need to random accounts and comments and stuff like that, right? But
yeah,
I just ask them questions like, have you read Executive Order 13818, 13848, the Law of War Manual 11.3, 11.4? Like, so I'm giving them the information to go and research, but
yeah,
no one ever will. So their own triggers are coming to the surface through my content, because it's triggering their belief systems. So it's not
yeah.
me. I'm not the enemy. It's just that suddenly they're like, "Oh, hang on a minute," and then giving them further information to go and research in my response, like, either triggers them, or they just don't go and do anything with it.
Just one last one. What I want to ask is, do you think also how because there's many versions of you, many versions of me. Do you think the version that we hold true, say Donald Trump, if I seen him as evil, he is going to be perceived as evil at the end? Or is it
Mm.
the way that you perceive someone to be? It's like the no judgment kind of thing.
Yeah, good
Because
question. I think
is it reality?
they're
Is that you?
characters, isn't it?
Yeah, but I've thought about this recently. Is like when you've got these thoughts on people, and you're like, "Oh, I told you it came true," and it's because you've maybe created, like reading the book of 48 Laws or whatever it may be.
Mm.
It's like you're projecting that truth out.
Mm.
You're kind of creating that reality,
Yeah,
because that's
you
something that
create
I've
you.
stuck on a bit.
Yeah. I totally agree. I've
It's
been
an head
talking about
fuck,
it a lot.
like.
It can be, but if you just come back to it, if you keep it all simple, is that you create it all. You are
Yeah, yeah,
everything, right? So we're multi-dimensional electromagnetic beings, right? Holographic, all the rest of it. Um, in this meat suit, having a human experience, as the saying kind of goes.
yeah,
But reality is, the reality is, you're creating everything, all of it. You've put big pharma there, you've put big food there, you've put like Mark Zuckerberg there, you've put Bill Gates there, you've put everyone there. They're all characters, and this is
yeah,
why
yeah,
I show people a lot of the doubles and the AI and the
yeah.
fakery, and have done for a couple of years since the World Cup, mate. 2022 in Qatar, I was showing people fake
Yeah,
AI being used.
I went into it all, and yeah, it's like even
Um,
people can't get their heads around that they can just put a mask on. Like
yeah,
they're that good, and they've been about
Yeah,
for
and
20
I've
years.
seen AI in a person, like a police officer, like it's like they're being controlled. It's mad. Like when I was with a few ex-army lads, and we were calling out the army, and the police were being piss weak and not looking after the people outside an army camp last year. Like all these police turned up in masses, like, and I literally witnessed it in a person. But then, if has anybody seen the last Matrix movie, the Resurrections, I think it's called, or something like that? It's actually a story of a twin flame journey, but an awakening journey. But also, there's a scene in there where all these beings' eyes just suddenly turn dark, and then they're being controlled, and then they start using each other as like human minds, torpedoes, basically. This police officer, literally, it was like his eyes were just taken over, and his responses were timely, and I'd heard several times before from different police officers, like in London and places like that, like he was just running on a program. It was mad. So yeah, so going back to what you're saying about like in our truest form, I think it just comes back to the simplicity of you are the creator of it all. So how simple do you want to make it? How tough do you want to make the lessons? How much aggro do you want? How much joy do you want? How much bliss do you want? Versus getting embroiled and totally drawn into the movie. Just sit back and watch the movie. Sit back and enjoy your popcorn, because like you're creating it all. Everyone else is just characters.
The distractions, as well, a lot of it is just distractions when it's taking your focus away from you, the things that you can be working on for yourself. Like,
yeah, of course.
We've seen it in first Matrix where Neo just downloads it and he can fly an helicopter. Like, in real time.
We can do that.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah,
yeah,
and it's also putting work in, isn't it?
100%. It's releasing all this old stuff that doesn't serve you, and actually, but you're losing the ego battle with like you need to keep hold of it, and you keep hold of all these attachments and stuff. Like you don't. Like they a lot of these attachments are the things that keep you rooted into the 3D illusion. When you cut away from all of that, like I've been doing loads of meditation recently. Like I've been literally focusing on my gifts, right? And like the other day I was meditating, sat with some happy. I tend to like to sit with like Yawanawa happy, because I feel real deep connections to that tribe, and that's where I'm taking people next year. And in terms of working with gifts, I was like, right, I want to move through time and space, because we can. We're multi-dimensional, right? So I'm like, I want to move through time and space. What does it look like? And it's real simple. It's like sit and remote view yourself, like in a scenario or where you want to be in the future, like, and create that future time pocket.
Yeah.
So, so I'm like, right, I really want to have a meeting with certain people to kickstart big things. So I remote viewed myself in a meeting room not far from here with these people around a table, even to like the clothes they were wearing, and put it in the future. Didn't put a date on it or anything, because time's an illusion. And then just like felt it in my body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know that that's going to happen. And like, I want to do certain things with my men's warrior groups and stuff like that. So I did the same again. And then lo and behold, 50% of my future men's courses are going to involve shooting sniper rifles and high caliber weapons. And I literally had the guy that literally can bring me all of that in my house this morning before we recorded this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's crazy, isn't it?
So we can all do that. Like, people, you can say it's manifestation, but like we're manifesting every single millisecond. Like that's how we experience what we experience. But it's not hard. And the reason why I did that was because I was taught it by one of my great friends and one of my great mentors that I've surrounded myself with. And that's another thing, people can do really well at, is surrounding yourself with not just like-minded people, but people that you can continuously learn from. Again, you manifest them in. They're like your little wizards.
I did a silly one. Well, not silly, but I don't know if you're familiar with Billy Carson.
Yeah.
I'd bought tickets to go watch him in London, went to one of his things, and I pictured me shaking his hand. And when he came out corner, he only shook two people's hand. This one in front of me and me. And I was like, it was just weird.
Yeah. But it's confirmation for you. Like,
of course it was. Yeah, it was like that was just
great.
a little thing that you can.
Yeah.
And I've done it in many other things in my life, and it's just, I think that's why there's a massive attack as well on like men and women being together, is because it's that union. And I was listening the other day to Confession. Is it Napoleon Hill? It's like talking with the devil. and he were on about drifters, and he says what the devil hates most is what he loves most is drifters and couples that aren't together, because once they come together and they have a vision, if they're combined and they're heading in that direction, there's no that can stop them.
Yeah, and that's why when you have like comings together, like say me and Corin have, say you and your missus have all that kind of stuff, and it's all divine. Lots of things come up. And like, Corin's brought a book out recently called Between Two Worlds, which explains all of this for this reason.
Yeah,
She's written a phenomenal book. Like, I don't want to say it's plug it, mate. It's like amazing.
yeah,
And it's based on like her journey, our journey, like the twin flame journey, living in two worlds and transformation out of it and stuff like that. And you're right, mate. Like, it's not a normal relationship. You literally crack each other open, man. It's like you pull apart like the inner depths of your soul to each other with like the biggest mirrors, to the point where you could probably split up 50 times in the space of a week.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but you're just mirroring each other to get rid of all that shit. But then when you're really together, like just pure magic happens, and that's why our events run so well and our retreats, and because it's us two together.
yeah,
Bringing that like powerful energy, and there's lots of amazing couples that are doing like light work and grid work together for that reason as well, because of the power that they have as a union, and also the keys and codes that they have within their DNA, as a
yeah,
union.
yeah. Yeah, because in the moment we spoke to Zoe, I know what the power is in her. I'm like it far beyond what I've got.
Mm.
But says this is your time now, like to go on your own little quest, because I
Yeah,
think you do a lot of healing on yourself when you're
yeah,
in rooms of people you don't necessarily know. You can kind of share more, or it activates some stuff in you. And I says you
yeah.
need to do some of that yourself,
Mm.
where we're not together, because I think it's hard when you're releasing as well.
Well, she rises, you rise. It's a natural thing. So the feminine right works on herself and rises. It makes the masculine rise.
Yeah,
And vice versa. But then if like as the masculine, if you're in a just total head spin, head fuck all the time, because you ain't got shit together, you can't put your shit out, you're like that,
yeah,
like then it puts a not a dampen on the relationship, but she's not rising to her potential or standing in her feminine goddess energy. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, you've got to show that you're safe. That's what it showed me when I got back. Is like
Mm.
you've got to stand in your masculine energy, because if you're running around chaotic all the time, it shows that you're a fucking you're an headless chicken, not knowing where you're going. If you're
Yeah.
just showing that you know it's going to unfold, you don't know exactly know how it's going to unfold, but you're trying every day to get things
Mm.
off the ground, and you
Yeah.
know it's going to come to
Yeah, and,
fruition.
and and you'll always open opportunities up because of that, because of the work you're doing. Again, you're bringing this all into your reality. Like, I've got a real big goal of working with like sports teams and athletes and professionals and leaders in industry and stuff like that, because I know the activations that I can do with them will impact so many more people. Rather than say 20 people coming to an event and that none of them really know each other, and then they have a great experience, but then go back to their job the next day, for example.
Yeah.
Um, that's not having a huge ripple effect. It's very key to that event, that area. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whereas in
it's
I can work with
necessary. It's
these,
necessary for now, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Like
yeah,
you've got the go. You know where your purpose
yeah.
can
But
go
because
to.
I'm focusing solely on that, all these
Yeah,
people that are coming to my life now are bringing me the opportunities for that to happen. You
yeah,
know,
because they can see that you can do it.
yeah, yeah. But they're just like, but it's just how the universe is working, because I'm like having a chat with a gentleman this morning. He's like so well connected to like princes in the Middle East, and who are proper awake. Do you know what I mean? And it's like stuff like that. And
Yeah,
it's just like, right, yeah, this doesn't happen by coincidence. So and sports teams and footballers, and involved in the sport I've always loved. Like that's why I kind of really want to work. Um, Whereas Corin is very much about like working people one to one, holding space, plant medicines, and all that kind of stuff.
hmm
Um, I want to be talking on like stages to mass people, like I do with the podcast, or working with people can have a big impact on a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's how that. But then that's how the balance works beautifully between us. She's very much down there. I'm like fucking galactic shaman up there. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. No, that you need it. Don't you? It's the yin and yang to it,
Yeah.
for a more well-rounded view. But yeah, no. Is there anything else that you want to add, or? Like,
No, man, I think we've kind of covered a lot of information here. I hope the viewers and listeners have got some vital, well, not necessarily information. No, there's not brand new information, but stuff that
insights.
yeah, it's good for two guys as well to share the vulnerabilities. Like I think that's important. It gives permission for a lot of other guys out there who might be just really reserved, and there's a lot of resistance there in them to go on a journey.
Yeah.
Just like I'm just a average guy, tattoos like yourself, ex-military, who's just turned into a bit of a spiritual knobhead. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we can all do it, and that's what people get from me. I don't wear capes and like strap a crystal to my head and all that kind of stuff. I do sometimes. I
Yeah.
laugh, but like,
Yeah.
no, I don't walk around stroking crystals and skulls and like go to Glastonbury every weekend. It's
Yeah.
that's not me. Like, I'm still very much a military type person, standards, this, that, and the other. But inevitably, my goal is to get the best version out of people, crack people open, trigger people, create mass awakening through that.
Yeah.
To get people back to the truth. The biggest conspiracy you could ever think of, the biggest truth you could ever think of, the biggest truth that's been hidden from us is who we truly are. And that's how I see my role, is to help people on that journey by whatever means to discover that.
Yeah. So that's beautiful. Yeah. I think that's what we're all trying to do in it,
Mm.
in its own turn. So thank you for
Yeah.
your time.
No worries, mate. It's been my absolute pleasure. And thank you for having us. And yeah, reach out anytime you want.